Welcome to the Best Ever You Show with your host, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino, best-selling author, master life coach, and founder of the Best Ever You Network. Celebrating over 15 years and millions of downloads, this show is your destination for real conversations, real stories, and real change. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and elevated. This is your moment. Let's go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Best Ever You Show. I'm Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino here with Natalie Pace. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Elizabeth. It's so much fun to be talking with you again.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. And, I wanted to just kind of tell people a little bit about what you're doing, and then we've got a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
I think we were saying that there's moments in life when we see things differently, and not because the world has changed necessarily, which I think maybe it has, but maybe because we have. And for many of us, that shift is with awareness. We start to notice the choices we make each day, the habits we've formed without thinking, and the
Yep.
quiet ways our lives are connected to something so much bigger than ourselves. So in the conversation that we're going to have with you today, we're going to explore a powerful idea of what happens when gratitude becomes more than a feeling and instead it becomes a way of living. You have founded Earth Gratitude. So everybody, I hope you perk up on that Earth Gratitude. Go to earthgratitude.org. Natalie Pace has created a movement that invites us to reconnect with ourselves, with each other, and above all, the planet we call home. And she reminds us that small, everyday choices in what we do carry meaning, and that living with intention doesn't exactly have to be overwhelming. It can begin right where we are. So welcome, Natalie. I'm really excited to hear your unique perspective to this conversation. I think it's going to be a really cool conversation.
Yeah, and I love the way that you're framing it. And I want to add a little bit to it. It's not even that it doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be beneficial. It can save us a boatload of money. It's better for our health. It's better for our mental health. So we can talk about a lot of that. But I think that's the missing key is that, look, if you make smarter choices, I should say more informed choices, because we all can be very smart and not that informed. It could save us thousands of dollars every year that we could spend on things that we like a lot more than our electric bill or the gas station, So, and again, sometimes they're just behavior changes. Behavior changes are free. They don't even cost anything. And sometimes they're just lifestyle choices, a different lifestyle choice. As one big example, I live in California, but I was having for the Earth Gratitude Project to travel around the world because I wanted to kick the boot. I wanted to kick the dirt on all the projects before I would feature them. So if we're going to feature regenerative agriculture, I want to know that it works better than conventional. I want to see that. And anyway, so I was in Santa Monica, Los Angeles, car culture. I actually was paying somebody to garage and drive my Mercedes so the battery wouldn't die for years, literally years. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I gave up the car. And I spend at least 2 or 3 months in Santa Monica. And boy, does it seem like a smart idea right now with Santa Monica gas prices over $6, sometimes $7 a gallon. So, if you can find ways, whether it's working from home or even walking or biking for local errands, this is a game changer. Most people spend $12,000 or more every year on each car. So it's a real game changer to get a little more informed and to take a bigger picture. I mean, obviously you could say, okay, well, I make that choice because I'm putting Mother Nature at the heart of the equation, and CO2 is the biggest. Actually, transportation is the biggest CO2 emitter in the United States. And it's one of the reasons, by the way, that Americans and Canadians and Australians and all the people living in the Middle East, our CO2 footprint is at least 3 times that of most Europeans. And the biggest reason is single occupancy vehicles.
That doesn't surprise me. So, yeah, that's good information. I hear you on the cars. So let's go over to Earth Gratitude in terms of the story behind how you created Earth Gratitude and what it means to live in alignment with the planet. I know you mentioned a couple simple shifts in awareness already, but maybe you could give us some more.
Yeah.
And also in that question, like what inspired you to create this? Did you have a moment where you realized you needed to bring this to a bigger platform?
Yeah, I'd say there were two inciting moments. So, first thing was when we had the BP oil spill, and that was in 2010, and it was just right at Earth Day. Every time I would fill up gasoline in my car, I was like, I am voting for that oil spill. I mean, I just felt guilty. And so, some friends and I got together and we said, look, for Earth Day, next year, why don't we ask everybody to put their car in the garage for the entire weekend? And I tried it myself, and it was so hard the first time I tried it because, we build our lives around our cars in the United States, right? And there maybe there aren't that many great options, and you have to start creating them. Since then, we have shared roads in Santa Monica. We have a metro. We have a great bus system. I can rent a car if I really need it. I can ride an e-scooter. There's a lot of choices that weren't as readily available then. So it was super hard, I must say, in 2011. It's super easy in 2026. And if it's not easy in your community, you should check it out and maybe be the change or start going to city council meetings. But that's what I would say started it, was that. And then, I had written a book called The Gratitude Game, 21 Days to a Healthier, Wealthier, More Beautiful You. And it was about prosperity mantras and how to shift your brain away from lack consciousness or debt consciousness and into prosperity and abundant consciousness. And I wanted to promote it. I was just thinking of that. And my excellent, very savvy, very, spiritually aware book agent, Bill Gladstone, said, yeah, let's do a summit on gratitude. And he said, but let's do it on Earth Day. And we both just looked at one another and went, oh my God, let's do Earth Gratitude.
That's how you got it. And then there's a story where King Charles comes along, right?
Yeah.
Just for fun in there, right?
Yes, and the Dalai Lama. Okay, so when we both look at one another and went, "Oh, Earth Gratitude," I said, "Oh, this had already happened," and that's the way it is with a lot of things, right? Like it takes you a decade to become an overnight success. So I had already gone and featured King Charles. He was then the Prince of Wales, because he's had over a half a century of talking about environmental leadership, but not just talking, doing, like building communities that were, designed for what post-petroleum world, regenerative agriculture, trying to drive less and walk and bike more. You'll see a lot of footage of the current Prince of Wales, which is Prince William, riding bikes everywhere. So, or even his little e-scooter around Windsor Castle. So anyway, I had already done that. I had already gone to England. I'd spent a month learning about all of the initiatives of then the Prince of Wales, now King Charles III. And I had gotten Huffington Post, Ariana Huffington had agreed to partner with me on this. So we give them a huge platform. So when that was in 2012, so 3 years later, when we're launching the Earth Gratitude Project, my assumption was King Charles III, he's going to come in maybe 4 or 5 years into the project after we prove the ground, right? And so I told Bill, I said, I think I can get King Charles, then Prince of Wales, I can get him probably the fourth or fifth year that we're doing this. And I said, by the way, I had also gone to see the Dalai Lama. I think we can get the Dalai Lama probably around the same time. And he's like, oh, that'd be great. But I approached them both the first year. And we got King Charles the first year, we got Dalai Lama the second year.
Wow. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? When
It's
something like
amazing.
that happens, just yeah. And how were you in that moment? Tell me that moment where you got that. Yes, that had to be pretty exciting.
It's so much fun, I must say. But I can just give you like the last 24 hours, right? Because we're doing now the the 21-day challenge for the Earth Gratitude Project, where we invite everybody. Look, we all know that we want a clean, green world and we want to stop climate change. We know all these things, right? But are we really willing to make the changes in our life that are going to shift the equation? That's what the challenge is all about. And in the last 24 hours, actually the last 48 hours, I had to wrangle in and get the final yes from some major celebrities. So we just got the final yes from Jane Goodall's team yesterday. We got the final yes from the Dalai Lama's team yesterday. we got the Gentle Barn in 2 days ago, and it's just amazing. So, but again, once you prove that you're for real, and that you're here as you are with Best Ever You, that you're here because we're stronger together, not because we want to take from your celebrity. We want all of the celebrities, each one who has a piece of the equation, a different part of it, of the story, to be featured on this platform. So, if somebody wants to start with eating healthier food that also draws down CO2, regenerative agriculture, they start there. Somebody else has kids and they want to start with greening their schools and maybe healthier lunches, they start there. And, all of this, if you're interested in protecting the rainforest, we got in Pachamama Alliance. If you're interested in helping to protect rhinos and giraffes and elephants, then you're going to want to look at Wildlife Direct. And we got all of this featured in our 21-day challenge. And that's what's really exciting. But again, that's over 12 years. Well, actually now for me, it's been 2 decades. We even have Elon Musk as a contributor, believe it or not for the challenge this year, but back in our 2017 ebook, when he was really ramping up Tesla.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do together, for
Yeah.
sure. It's so much more fun together. Um,
Yes.
what does Earth gratitude mean to you on a deeper level beyond the sustainability or any of the environmental awareness? Just for you personally, because we're 57, we're 65, we're 70, we're not
Right.
20.
Yeah. But
Right?
the good
Or
news is
30 or 40. Yeah.
if you're 20, and I'm going to circle back to this, I want us to talk about this new film, The Plastic Detox, because it's so inspiring and it does affect people under 40. Okay, I'm 65. I feel healthier, stronger, happier. And, I don't look 20, but I think I look pretty good for 65. And that's all I care about. I like being an elder woman in the room, but I do want to look good enough so that I can still go on camera occasionally.
Yeah.
And but the beautiful thing about this is, again, we talked about it at the top of the show, it's a win for us personally as much as anything. I'm healthier that I don't have a lot of plastic toxins in my life. I'm healthier that I eat nutrient dense food. I'm happier because I make it a point to be surrounded by nature a lot. And there's many studies that even our brain loves the color green. It's great for our mental health. So these are all things that, it's not an onerous task. It's more as you start peeling back the layers of what's real and what can really help you, what's going to reduce gridlock better, making a larger freeway or actually putting more people on bikes because bikes are so much smaller. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that we think is the natural solution, which are really been kind of programmed into us. And if we think about it differently, the benefits that come back to us are major. And if you're willing to talk about plastic, then I think the plastic detox, I wish it had a better title because it doesn't sound that exciting to watch. I just watched this documentary. It just came out and it actually has one of the most compelling and positive stories that I've seen recently.
Yeah. You see kids in their, I'm just going to say kids because I have kids this age, but you see our
Yeah.
kids, for example, shifting out of Teflon. They're shifting out of plastic Tupperware. They're shifting out of plastic utensils,
Yes.
straws, everything. They're completely conscious of what they're cooking with, using,
Yes.
wearing, eating, putting on their faces. It's very interesting.
Yes. And by the way, I'm glad you brought up wearing. It was never a good idea to put oil products all over our food and bodies. Plastic's an oil product. Polyester is an oil product. These create microplastics. And the thing that was really interesting about plastic detox is that this scientist had gone in and she had 6 couples. So these are people under the age of 40. They're in childbearing years, and they were all not able to conceive. And she said, let's go through your house and let's throw out all the plastic. And that includes the polyester you're wearing. That actually is even going to include anything vinyl. And they got rid of the plastics in their life as best as they could, which isn't easy, and you have to be very conscious about it. Um, and of the 6 couples, so she just did case studies on 6 couples. Of the 6 couples, 3 of them were actually got pregnant within a year. It was unbelievable, the difference. So, and she was measuring, obviously, she was measuring both the amount of plastic toxins in their bloodstream, and also how that was affecting sperm count in the males. And the minute that she got rid of all the plastics, the amount of toxins in their bloodstream started going way down. It does take, I think she said, 70 days for sperm to go through its cycle. So it did take a couple of months before it started showing up in the sperm count. And then, of course, babies. So this is all stuff that actually is relevant for younger generation, not just because the investments they make in their health and beauty now pay off dividends at our age, but also because it's going to help them to conceive. Maybe they also lost weight because these toxins, these plastic toxins that now live in our body, even if we're not eating plastic, if we're touching it because our skin is an organ, these toxins actually are things that help us to gain weight. When we get rid of all the toxins, we can actually see that in lower body mass index as well.
Yeah. If you're listening to the show and you're completely overwhelmed, we have some solutions for you of where to start. Because sometimes this kind of stuff is just like, yeah, it's great in theory, it's great in this and that, but
Yeah.
don't even know where to begin with this. You're telling me to, let's ditch the car and get a bike, and some things just aren't realistic for people. So they might need to do smaller things. So can you go through, some other meaningful actions that people can take that might not be around transportation? Because that's a difficult one for people. Sometimes people do really have a commute and need their car.
Yeah, yeah. And what I would say is this: go start where you want to start, right? Start with what interests you. Like, if I were a young parent and I was active in my son's or my daughter's school, I would want to start by planning a student garden and seeing if we could get the lunches healthier. I would want to start by getting the kids to school rather than, like, when you see the carpool at school and all those fumes that are coming out, it's really not healthy for the kids. I see parents that are now starting what they call bike buses to make it safe because the roads are not yet safe for their kids. But if you put 20 kids on a bike and every morning all of the neighbors know that they're all going to be going to school at 7:30, it is safe. So what I would say is that don't be afraid to try. There's this thing in sustainability called a pilot program, right? Before I gave up my car, I tried going without a car for a day or a weekend. So what I would say is don't think, I can't give up my car, so therefore I'm not going to try anything. Think about, okay, can I walk or bike at least for local errands? Is that a possibility? Should I think about something like that? Can I try taking mass transportation to, to my job one day? Can I try working from home one day? I just want to remind us that, those people who can create a hybrid work situation, I know some people can't. There are jobs where you actually have to physically be present. And there are other jobs where you don't have to be physically present, where it's a good idea to go and meet your coworkers at least once a week. But I want to remind everybody, especially in places like Los Angeles or New York, in cities, a lot of times if you can eliminate the commute, that gives you an extra hour or two with your family every single day. So there's a lot of benefits. And again, pilot programs are great. Don't think I have to throw my car out. Think, I wonder what would happen if I just walked over to the grocery store with a backpack and got enough food for the next 3 days. Or I wonder what would happen if I went to the city council meeting and asked them if we could start a farmer's market. Start with what resonates with you. There's a lot of tips in the blogs at earthgratitude.org. And of course, if you join us for our 21-day challenge, you're going to be getting a lot of tips there. But I would say the low-hanging fruit is, can you drive less and walk or bike more? Can you also go through your house? Are there ways that you can reduce the energy usage so that you pay less on your electric bill? It might be insulating better, but it also might just be managing the way the sun comes in. In the winter, you want the sun to come in and heat the house. In the summer, you don't want as much coming in so that you can keep the house cooler. And all of that's going to save you maybe even hundreds of dollars a month on your electric bill. So think of it more almost like an energy audit could actually be, in rethinking it in prosperity and abundance terms. It could be, gee, maybe I can do this, and I'm going to fund a nice little weekend getaway with my life partner, or maybe this is going to be a fun excursion that just something I can do that I'm going to like a lot more than paying my bills.
Yeah. You say they can't sell it to us if we don't buy it. Voting with our
Yep.
dollars is the most powerful tool we have. Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is really powerful because, a lot of times we are, we're actually picketing something that we are voting with our dollars for, right? So like if you say, I'll give you the most obvious example, those oil companies, they need to stop, but then you're filling up gas with your car. Or, you're putting gas inside your car. You're voting with your dollars for the gas company. I mean, the oil company, and they're going to say, well, you want our product, so we have to keep drilling. So you have to start making that connection. Same thing with plastic. If you stop buying things that are covered in plastic, they'll stop making it because they can't just store it somewhere. And I'll give you one more example. A lot of us are really worried about rainforests in Brazil being cut down and they're throwing in cattle. Well, is it possible that you're eating rainforest beef? Should you know that you're eating local, maybe regeneratively agriculture, organic beef products instead of cheap burgers that may be using rainforest beef because it's cheaper? So it's really, again, I don't want people to be overwhelmed, because if you try to do every single thing, you will be. But if you do one thing and then you realize, you know what, this actually made me a little happier and I do have extra money, just like she said I would, then that motivates you to want to think, well, what about the next thing? This could be fun now.
The one thing I am super sensitive to in the environment and things around us is anything that it smells like perfume or
Yep.
certain candles or air fresheners or laundry detergent, especially
Yep.
dryer sheets and all that stuff. Are they saying anything about that and the environment and that being good or bad for you? Not to black and white it, but anything like that, and the use of those types of products, cleaning products, flushing stuff down the toilet, bathtubs,
Yeah.
showers, etc.
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, that's a big topic in that Plastic Detox, which is a great movie. And again, it's not going to be just a bunch of chemists talking to you and telling you how bad plastic is. It's really a compelling film, especially when you watch these couples that weren't able to conceive and now they can conceive. But that's a big piece of it, right? Like all of our shampoo products, all of our things are coming in these plastic containers, and it is more difficult to figure it out. But bar soap shampoo works great. So does bar conditioners. They can contain argan oil, coconut oil. They can contain the exact same things without all the added extra water and plastic products. So that's one thing. You're right about these air fresheners. What's even cooler idea, I actually get, they have a regrocer close to me where you can get most of the things that you want in bulk, and you can put them in plastic jars or paper bags or whatever. And but one thing that I really love talking to people about is that, you could save. Water is an expensive commodity in a lot of cities, especially even if you have native plants, you're still going to have to water them, right? And for a lot of people, an easy hack on saving water for your on your water utility bill is simply having a way that you can take the hose from your washing machine and use that to actually water your yard. That's a lot less expensive than, say, gray water plumbing, which would be a great idea too. But the interesting thing there is that you are going to have to get cleaner laundry products because you don't want to kill your plants. So what does that tell you about the laundry products you're using on your own body? If if they would kill your plants, right?
Right. It's always interesting. Yeah. I just can't even go there. I have
Yes.
comments, but I'm going to refrain. How I'm going to ask you more questions instead. How can families and younger generations become more engaged in this movement that you've got going in a way that feels empowering? Just tell us. We have 5 minutes left or so. Tell us all about the Earth Gratitude Project, the 21-day challenge, where people can find you, your docu
Yeah.
series. Just give us everything so we know where to go.
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, definitely sign up for the challenge. That's at earthgratitude.org. Just click and sign up, because then every single day you're just going to get a bite-sized nugget. And it's going to be something that you're going to find interesting, a video you can watch, and then a challenge for you to do that day. We also have a 5-part docu-series. And again, it's designed that way so that you can go with what interests you most. Do you have kids? Do you want to learn more about an eco school? Go there and you'll see, Green Our Planet. They raise funds to put student gardens in. You'll see Alice Waters' project called the Edible Schoolyard Project. You're going to just learn a lot there. Also, we have animals and conservation. So if it's the rainforest and Africa and animals and building wells for, people that don't have access to water, then that's this docu-series you want to watch. And again, each little episode has about 3-minute bite-sized nugget on each organization that's solving that particular problem. Do you want everyday sustainability tips? Then there's a special episode on that. There's an episode on why gratitude is so important to the equation. And of course, there's also on soil and health and why it's super important to support regenerative organic, both produce and also meat products.
So before we got on the air here, I asked our audience if they had any questions for you, and there were a bunch. But I don't think we
Okay.
can have a conversation about the environment without throwing a little bit of politics in. So just a caution, this might divide our audience a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and ask this question from this person. They
Okay.
said with the administration, the current administration has put so many people in this industry and field out of work and flipping policies upside down that have been longstanding. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts and what do we do about it?
Okay, so I mean, full disclosure, the power of 8 billion, it's up to us, right? So my premise is that if we don't buy it, they can't sell it. I want to also give you a little bit of hope around this, because one of the best performers on Wall Street in 2025 was the clean energy ETF ICLN. That was far better than the S&P 500. It scored almost 60% gains. So there's a lot that we can do that has nothing to do with what the general administration is doing. Also, I want, in my work at the Earth Gratitude Project and also in my private work on Natalie Pace, I take the politics out of it, because if we use buzzwords and make the other person the enemy, then we never find our common ground. And by the way, watch the film Common Ground too. That's an important film to watch. But and I'm going to give you an example. There is somebody that I work with, and they are very far to the right. And there's somebody else I work with on a board who's very far to the left. And sometimes this person will say something that's kind of pejorative towards the other side and vice versa. And oftentimes, if I can just say, okay, who wants clean air? Who wants clean, healthy food for our kids? Who wants a planet that's sustainable? Nobody is going to go against that. When you start there, you can actually work with people who have different political views, who actually voted for different people, maybe because they got frightened in some way. They might have been manipulated or lied to. And by the way, that happens on both sides of the aisle. So I'm not particularly talking about just this administration. So what I would say is this: change always happens from the ground up in terms of politics. Like the civil rights movement changed laws. It was sadly a war that changes laws sometimes too, but we don't need to go there. So I would say there's a lot more power that we have. If you want to create a community garden in your city, you don't have to get permission from the national government. If you want to start making sure that your kids are able to get to school without breathing car exhaust fumes, you can create your own bike bus. If you want to buy regenerative agriculture produce, both to support CO2 drawdown and make your body healthier, you are able to do that. Thankfully, we live in a free enough country that nobody's going to come and tell you can't do that. If you want to put on solar panels, you're going to find a way to do that. You can be the change that our planet needs to heal. You can be the change in your own life so that you can create cleaner air in your neighborhood, cleaner water, conserving water. And as you start doing it for yourself, you can go in your cities and start doing it within your city. And you're going to get a lot better results if you can take the buzzwords out and stop thinking that because like I said, a lot of times that's a way for us not to take action, is to say, well, they're supposed to do it, right? Well, why aren't the corporations? Why do those nasty oil companies, polluting our environment? Well, I mean, I see people that are driving to that particular strike or that particular, event, social cause, boycott oil companies. They're driving in their gas guzzler there. That's not right. So I would just say we have to learn how to look a little bit more at our habits and say, what am I voting for with my dollars? And also, love and gratitude are powerful. I mean, one of the people that I thought was going to be the least effective on my entire team, because they were so far to the extreme in their political stance, is one of my most powerful allies, because I said, the work you do is extraordinary, which it is. Not the political views he has, the actual work he does is extraordinary. And he melted like a little teddy bear when I did that.
That's awesome.
It was unbelievable, because if I had brought in the political confrontation that was a part of one of the meetings that we had, that moment would have never happened. And by the way, the productivity, oh my Lord. I mean, I was like, I'm so glad that there was that political confrontation with those particular group of people that I was present at, because it shows me the power of gratitude and love, and also taking buzzwords out.
Love it. And well put, by the way. Oh, it's always fun to talk to the brilliant Natalie Pace. So everything Natalie does is brilliant. And we love having you here. We're going to run out of time now, but I would invite you back anytime. It's a great conversation, and maybe we can break it down even to like specific shows about water or clothing or food or whatever it is. That'd be kind of fun. I would just invite everybody to go to earthgratitude.org. And Natalie, is there anything else you'd like people to do? What kind of action would you like people to take in terms of following you in social media or your website or your books or all of it? Even you can just rattle it off and then we'll close out.
Yeah. So if you're able to listen to this before Saturday, March 28th, then we are, for the Earth Hour celebration, which has been around for 20 years. It's 8:30 p.m. in your own time zone. So if you do anything at all for the planet, please tag us on social media. We're Earth_gratitude on Instagram and Earth Gratitude on Facebook. And that way we can like and share it. We want to have a rolling wave of sustainability and peace celebrations this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. So it's going to be like New Year's Eve. It'll start in Australia and end in Hawaii. And definitely do that. And then please do join us for the 21 days. And if you have a particular area that you're interested in or that you're inquisitive about, I love dropping down the rabbit hole. It may already be that I've kicked the dirt on something that you're wondering about, and I'm happy to share resources with you. Just email us. I'm at nataliepace@earthgratitude.org, and our team will make sure that you, you can join our mailing list. You can just join us on social media. We have very inspiring people that are part of our tribe. Queen Diambi designs her own clothing made from natural fibers and uses local artisans in Africa to do it. She was at the Daytime Emmys accepting awards for African Queen, which had won some awards. So again, a lot of this are people in action, and they look beautiful doing it. And you're going to be like, oh, I would like to try that,
That's awesome. All right. As always, thank you, Natalie Pace. And remember that living, as Natalie says, living with gratitude isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, and it's about noticing the choices that we make and understanding their impact, and maybe shifting in ways that feel aligned with who you are, who we are, and the world as a whole that you want to live in, regardless of political views, as you said. And again, you don't have to do every single thing, but just do something. And Natalie, what's the hashtag again for Saturday night?
Hashtag Earth Gratitude.
Okay, hashtag Earth Gratitude. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Best Ever You. We follow up with our guests with a blog. There's a more in depth interview on besteveryou.com with Natalie Pace, and links to all of her books, actually. She's written a number of books and resources, blogs, websites, and so forth are on that blog and in the description of this show as well. So, all right, Natalie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I really appreciate your time. And I appreciate your platform and all that you're doing to bring people together. It's really lovely.
Thank you. All right, everybody, take care.